I
Hey, Andrew Lee jumped the gun. Whatever. I'm sure our 92 listeners will be very upset. Hey, everybody, welcome
90,
to this wrestling.
90,
I'm
96 listen.
96. It's Bash at the Beach 96. Right? I'm your host Ray Goots. It's for life and for listeners. We're here talking about Bash at the Beach 96. Perhaps one of the most important pay-per-views of all time. Andrew Lee, how you doing today?
I am doing good. Happy Pi Day, brother.
Oh, we're recording this on Pi Day. That's right. You know,
Yes.
WWE, WWE.com or whatever the fuck WWE is right now. They did
WWE.com.
a list of the biggest heel turns in wrestling history, and they put John Cena as number one over this. By the way, as all you know, John Cena turned heel 2 weeks ago, and then nothing happened. Do you agree with that? Yes or no?
No, of course not.
Yeah.
Um, it is it is a big heel turn though. Let's not to say that John Cena's heel turn isn't a big heel turn. It is a big heel turn, but I wouldn't say it's over Hogan turning heel. Like, where would you put John Cena turning heel? Like, where would you rank that as of a heel turn?
It's too. I think okay. If you're born after 9/11, I can see this being the biggest heel turn of your life because you don't understand who Hulk Hogan was. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
Mm-hmm.
you don't get it. Like you think you get it. Like it's just like somebody from the '60s could be like, you don't understand how we can read about Bruno, but we don't get Bruno. You know what I mean? We
Yeah.
don't. Um, but I would say that it's too early to tell because we have to see how this plays out. If John Cena is heel for the rest of his run, that's great. If John Cena, we haven't seen John Cena walk out as a heel yet. We're going to see it this Monday on live on Raw. Um, so it's too early to tell. But if they go all the way with it, and also here's the other thing: Hogan's heel turn lasted 3 years. It lasted 3 years, and it brought about tremendous business, and changed a lot of things in WCW. John Cena is going to retire in December. So no matter how good this is, he's eventually going to get like thank you Cena chance in December. So like we already have a deadline of how far this can go, unless he comes out on Monday and says, "I'm full of shit. I'm never going to retire." But also, he has so many commitments. Number one, Peacemaker. Are you going to tell me if Superman movie makes $1 billion and James Gunn is like, "I want you in the Justice League movie. You and Superman are going to form the Justice League." You're going to tell me John Cena's going to say no to that because he has to fucking fight Ray Phoenix at the Royal Rumble 2029? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. It's like how far can this really go? This guy has other things going on. So
Do
it's
you
too
think you and I think smart, actual, intelligent wrestling fans know that this is Cena heel turn is not on the same level or not even close to the same level as Hogan turning heel. Is this on the same par with like the Freebirds turning heel on the Von Erichs? Or like what else is it near?
no, because that could have that was another thing. I think I've done some thinking about it. I think the Freebirds are the number two heel turn, and the number three heel turn is. It's so funny. None of these are WWE heel turns, and the number three heel. Actually, no. There's four big heel turns for me. The first one is Hogan tonight. The second is Freebirds because of what they did to the Von Erichs. If Fritz Von Erich had half a fucking brain, they could have been the number two company in the world, not WCW. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They made that territory fire. Number three heel turn is Ric Flair turning on Dusty Rhodes in the cage, forming the Four Horsemen. Again, another moment that if they had half a brain, they could have taken out Vince. All these heel turns could have taken out Vince. And the fourth biggest heel turn to me is Macho Man Hulk Hogan Saturday's main event.
Oh,
No, no, no. The fourth one is Andre. The fourth one is Andre because that led to 93,000 people at the Pontiac Silverdome. I know Dave Meltzer said actually there was only 92,000. He went there and counted that day. But like those three are the four biggest heel turns because they changed things. They changed business. And even though like you talk about the Freebirds and the Horsemen, the promoter didn't know what he was doing and he still almost took out Vince. That's how good those heel turns were. Well, they didn't take out Vince. They almost made a run for Vince's money. Um, and here with the Hogan heel turn, they almost drove Vince out of business. So how can you argue any heel turn is bigger than Hogan's?
Yeah, and you're right. The Andre turn was big. It was a big deal when Andre turned heel. Absolutely.
Yeah,
So
I
that's a
think
big.
that.
There's no way Cena's heel turn is above that one. Absolutely not.
Well,
No way.
I think they had done Cena turning heel in like 2014 or 2012. If they had him, I think then it could have been bigger than Hogan. I definitely do because you had people were ready. Cena in 2012, 2015 to me was reaching Hogan 96 levels where he's just corny. He needs a change. They never changed him, and now people just have nostalgia for him because they got older. You know, the people who were 10 are now 20, and now they're like, oh, I miss being a kid, so I love John Cena. But I do think that they waited too long, and it's now or never that you do it. But it doesn't make it as big as Hogan. Hogan's heel turn eventually. Sorry, this is what happens when recording people. Hey, sorry, Hogan's heel turn. You have to remember the summer of '96. I thought wrestling was gay, bro. And what Hogan's heel turn did was eventually bring me back, and I've never stopped. I've never stopped. I spent $500 WrestleMania tickets last year. I was a fucking idiot for one night. Like, I never stopped watching after this got me back in. So, like, how can you argue anything else is going to do that? You think the Cena Hilder are going to pull a 17-year-old back in and they're going to be spending $500 on wrestling tickets when they're 40? I mean, we'll see.
Do you think it's on par with Shawn Michaels turning heel on Marty Jannetty?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll say that.
I think so too. Actually, I will say yeah, it's on par with that, which is still a very iconic heel turn. It's a memorable heel turn, you know?
That's definitely right. That's right. That's above Savage. So I would say Sean is number 5, and Savage is 6. Savage on
Oh,
Hogan because they built to it. That was a really good storyline. And when Savage made the switch, what's another heel? It's not really a heel turn, but I think another good heel turn is Hall Hall going to WCW when he walks in the ring because he's a face. Last time you see him in WWF, and then he's a heel in the WCW ring. But I mean,
yeah, that's a weird one though. I get what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, but it's almost like I don't know, something about that it doesn't really kind of feel like it counts to me. But I get what you're saying.
yeah. But listen, let me tell you what does count. All right, Bash at the Beach '96.
Yes.
Is I was thinking about it, bro, and the thing I like about this show is that the wrestling styles, like I've said this before, I said this a month ago, the wrestling styles are all over the map. Like, if you think about there's no other company on the planet that would ever follow up Rey Mysterio and Psychosis with Big Boss Man versus Earthquake. It's like it's not even like the same atmosphere. I feel like now every company has a house style, especially WWE, and the
Especially
fact and so you have all these different wrestling styles colliding. So like if you're like some fucking old school Southern fan in 19, you're like, I don't have this lucha libre bullshit. Then they put on like the Jim Duggan match and the Big Bossman match, which is very Southern. Then you get the Ric Flair match, which is very old school WCW. Then you get the Giant match, which is more like modern '90s wrestling. It's all over the place, and then you get an incredible angle. So no matter what you like about wrestling, it's represented in this show. And then it concludes with the most insane fucking angle of all time. I think it's peak WCW. What do you think?
as people in wrestling would often say, there's something for everyone in this world,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the something for everyone that the something that everyone gets is like top quality something.
Yes.
Oh, that's what this is. This will, I think, Bash at the Beach, 1996, is should be a must watch for all wrestling fans. I'm gonna put it up there right now. It is a
Yeah.
must watch pay per view. So let's talk about this. Bash at the Beach, 1996. There is no day at the beach.
No.
Catch big
No.
one.
This is no day at the beach. Not there is
No.
no day. That makes it sound like there's never going to be another day at the beach ever again, bro.
Yeah, that's what they should have called it. But they go, "This is no day at the beach. Catch the big one." They're talking about Hogan's penis. Takes place July 7th, 1996 in Daytona Beach, Florida. 8,300 people are in attendance, 250,000 pay-per-view buys for this show. Let's do a little comparison. Bash at the Beach, 1995. The one before had 160,000 pay-per-view buys. So this is almost 100,000 more pay-per-view buys in 1 year. That's a big jump. That's great. Now, this is happening in July. WWF will be having a pay per view in July as well. It is in your house, and it's only going to draw 99,000 pay per view buys. So this Bash the Beach 1996 smoked them by what is that? Over 100,000 buys. That's a big one.
Dude,
So
I wasn't watching, but I remember there was buzz about who the third man was, and people thought it was going to be either Bulldog or Bret Hart. And I remember a kid in school because I heard two loser kids. Well, I like wrestling 2 years after this. I'm like, these fucking looking at these kids, they're fucking losers. Two kids I heard think that it was going to be. Well, I wasn't in school. I think I saw at the comic book store because this was the summer. Going to be one kid suggested Hogan as a heel, and I remember thinking like if they do that, that would change a lot. But I don't know if Hogan could pull it off. People were there was a fever about who Dave Meltzer by the way said the third man was.
who
He said it was going to be Mabel.
did he really? What a
Yeah.
dumbass.
And he still
Uh,
defends it. Yeah, I guess one of the ones that I got wrong information on that. He defends it as like, well, there was, if you look back there was like evidence that Mabel could be the third man, and they were talking with Mabel, and well, like, dude, shut the fuck up. It wasn't gonna be Mabel.
just admit that you didn't get it right. Just say like that's the thing with Dave Meltzer. He just can't ever admit that he got false information or he made a false prediction. He just goes,
He only
"Well,
did it one
what
time.
happened was." It's like, no, you fucked up. Like when
He
you
did
when
it
you
one
made that
time.
Dragon
Uh,
Gate call, when somebody was trolling you. You
yeah.
just admit the fact that you didn't like source check. You just took it for its word like a fucking dumbass. You're supposed to be a journalist. You're supposed to be the world's greatest wrestling journalist, and you can't even check your sources. And instead of admitting I messed up, I did not do my due diligence as a journalist. He came up with all the, well, what happened was this, this, and this, and yeah, I guess I could have done this better, but no, 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 you fucked up. Just say it. But he's a fucking. I don't bring him up again. I get so mad at him. I get so mad at this fucking guy. Anyways,
Mabel.
I'm like you. When I was young, I did. There was people were talking about this,
Yeah.
and WCW, they really did a good job hyping this up. And when you're watching this pay-per-view on Peacock or wherever, it begins with a hostile takeover, like a recap of what's been going on. And even that gets you into this. You're just like, oh shit, right? It's like, oh my God, it's a great build. Tony Schiavone, Bobby the Brain Heenan, and Dusty Rhodes are on commentary, and they're surrounded by some guards because they're just like, we don't know, we might get attacked. We don't know who this third guy is, and they're talking about the third guy, the third guy. This might be one of the best. This is the best angle in wrestling, right?
Yeah. If they ended it strong, 100% it would have been. I think the best angle in wrestling is Austin McLean, because
Yeah,
that actual ending, you know. Um,
yeah. Like, I'm trying to think of WWE. What kind of like who is it? Like who is an angle that they've done? They've done
well,
two that I could think off the top of my head. One is who ran over Stone Cold Steve Austin, right? And the other one was uh the who is the greater power, the evil power guy, right?
both reveal stunk. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I
Um,
don't know if you saw this one. Did you see the last one they did? The most recent one they did was who beat up Jade Cargill, and it ended
yeah,
up
that
being
one was not as good as this. Yeah.
it ended up being Naomi. Did you watch that promo between Bianca Belair
No,
and Naomi?
no. I haven't watched
Oh,
anything.
dude, it's really good. I recommend you watch that promo. It's
The
that
last
one's
thing I
just kiss.
The last thing I saw, I probably, it's Raw's going to be on 12 noon here on Monday because Netflix just shows it in Europe. So my time's 12 noon. So I might watch Raw live to see what Cena does since like I don't have a car, right?
Hmm.
Um, and they have Netflix in the living room. But I haven't watched any modern wrestling. You know what made this angle good too is that everyone plays in on it. The announcers do a very, very good job being like, we are excited for this show. We have a lot of great matches, but also we're incredibly nervous about this main event. We don't know what's going on. Gene Okerlund has a lot of like a nervous energy in his promos. Everyone works towards it. It's not, I feel like sometimes now Michael Cole will like be like, oh, we're all concerned. And then he'll just go in, he'll just act, it's very apparent that it's just a show with Michael Cole and JBL and Corey Graves and all these other new idiots. Whereas this is like we are trying to put on a show, but we're really nervous about these people that showed up that we really don't know anything about. You know,
Hmm. Yeah.
it's really good. Tony Schiavone, Dusty Rhodes, and Bobby Heenan do a really because the other thing to do with Bobby Heenan is like he's gonna be like the heel announcer and talk about how much he loves Steven Michaels and how much he loves Ric Flair. But he also is like, oh, I don't like these NWO guys though. Like I'm scared about these guys too. So it's like a great change of pace where it's like, oh, I'm gonna root for the heels, but this goes beyond being a heel.
Absolutely, yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna get a lot of that throughout the show. But let's get to our first match. It is um Psychosis with a mask versus Rey Mysterio. Mike Tenay joins them on commentary. This is an exciting match. Psychosis dives onto Rey Mysterio on the floor, and he almost hits his head on the
Yeah,
floor. I was like, "Geez, that's dangerous." But they keep going. They do a Frankensteiner off the apron by Rey Mysterio.
fantastic,
Psychosis.
fantastic.
I'm sorry.
That was fantastic move the way he did it.
Oh yeah, this is like prime Rey Mysterio, prime Psychosis when they're young and they have no care in the world. So they're really putting going balls to the wall. Psychosis backdrops Ray high up in the air onto the ropes. That was a crazy spot too.
Mm-hmm.
Top rope senton to the floor by Psychosis. Um, that's a crazy move too. Think about it. You're on the top rope and you're doing a senton like Jeff Hardy, but to the floor, not into the ring, to the floor. I was like,
Psychosis had to be one of the most underrated wrestlers of all time. Like this guy was like as good as the Will Ospreays and the Shawn Michaels, but for whatever reason, WCW treated him like as they move along in the timeline, WCW treated him like he's fucking Gilbert or something. You know what I mean? And it's
yeah.
like he's a better wrestler than anyone gives him credit for.
Rey Mysterio and Conan both talk about how good Psychosis was and how Rey Mysterio often says Psychosis is very underrated base, is a guy, a lucha libre who catches people and stuff. I think what held Psychosis back is that he can't speak English. I
Yeah.
think that's
Also,
what.
like now, when I was a kid, so I like I so let me just say this before we continue. I consider this the best opening match. I consider this one of the, but I'd say for WCW, the best opening match in WCW history, maybe in pro wrestling history. It is an incredible opening match. I think it's easily in the top five of WCW matches of all time. I don't know if it's number one, but it's definitely in the top five. I think
It's a
I
bold
thought like
statement.
what?
It's a bold statement.
And I'll tell you why in a second. I think that the held. I thought when I was younger, I thought he was like a fucking idiot with the mask. I think if he had just adjusted the mask, he would have been a star. Rey Mysterio looks like a superhero. Looks like a star. Ultimo Dragon looks like a star. Psychosis looks like a fucking idiot. So
Oh, okay. Well,
now I think he looks cool. Now, but I'm in my 40s now.
yeah. Psychosis, the only thing I'll agree with you, this is a fantastic match. The only downside to this match is Bobby the Brain Heenan's commentary because he's very annoying on
Yeah.
commentary. He kind of, I wish he didn't undermine them so much, right? But it is what it is. Psychosis at the end sets up for a splash mountain off the top rope, but Rey Mysterio turns that into a Frankensteiner to win the match. I don't know if it's the greatest opening match of all time, but let me tell you what, I gave this an A. This is a very good opening match. You might be right. It might be one of the greatest opening matches of all time. Absolutely, so good.
Yeah. You know what I like about this match? And you know what? I think this is a match that all AEW wrestlers and modern Lucha Libre wrestlers should watch. Because in my head, when I put this match on last night, I could have swore they go right to like jumping on the top rope, and they don't. They
No.
start with mat work. Like Rey Mysterio, like Rey Mysterio, like if you think about it, like this is a real fight. He's like, I'm gonna fucking ground this guy, and I'm gonna try to pin him. I don't want to jump off the top rope. I just want to win and get the fuck out of here, right? And
Hmm.
then the only reason they go like to the high flying moves is because they're trying to take each other out in one move. They don't like right away just run to the top rope and do a fucking crazy move. And every now and then they go back to mat work. And you don't see that in a lot of modern matches. It's just big move after big move. They're only you watch the match like Rey Mysterio's only hitting this big move because he wants to knock this guy out and just win. He's not doing it to get like 5 stars from Dave Meltzer. He's not trying to get a fight forever change. He just wants to win. And dude, that's missing from AEW, man. So bad. That's what's missing.
Yeah, it's like a lot nowadays. It's not just AEW. I would say it's like mostly almost everywhere is when in a match somebody will hit a big move and instead of going for the cover, they start posing to the crowd, right? Like they go like,
Mhm.
"Did you see what I just did?" And you're just like,
Mhm.
so that takes you're right. This see that's the thing. There's no sense of urgency. After you hit the
Yeah,
big move, you should be trying to be going for the cover, etc. It is what it is.
yeah. This is
Speaking of
I
luchadors,
have to give Eric Bischoff and Kevin Sullivan. You got to give these guys and whoever else was making the decisions back then credit. I mean, this match is just like so unlike anything else on the card, so unlike anything else that WWE's putting on. It's state of the art for today. And the fact that they put it in such a prominent position, because they don't have to. They could fucking have Bobby Eaton take on fucking, I don't know, Hugh Morris in the opening match. But you gotta get they recognize that this is the future and they put it on and it's such a great way. You know what it is about this show? You start with like a state of the art wrestling match, like a fucking New Japan, fucking AEW, fuck whatever the fuck classic, and then you
mhm,
end it with like one of the greatest like sports entertainment angles of all time. That like
yeah,
there's not a lot of shows that go on that roller coaster, bro. And it's just the fact that they believed in Rey Mysterio and gave him this showcase. Fucking, you got to give them credit for that because you would think that I don't know if Dusty Rhodes and Jim Crockett would have put these guys in this position.
I would say this match is timeless, meaning that you could watch it
Yeah.
now, and
Mhm.
this match is if you think about it, this match is almost 30 years old,
Yeah, and
and
it
it's
feels
timeless.
more modern than most AEW matches.
Yeah, it's almost 30 years old, and it still holds up if you watch it today. That's a timeless match. But speaking of luchadors, we got to go to another luchador. We got Mean Gene Okerlund in the back with Conan, the U.S. champion, and
Mhm.
Mean Gene is talking to Conan about his match tonight with Ric Flair. And Conan's like, "Yeah, I know Ric Flair wants my belt. He wants my US title. But you know what?" And he goes, "You know what?" And Conan says, "You know what? I don't have a crew like Ric Flair does. He's got all those horsemen. But you know what? I don't care because if they try to get involved, I'll beat them up too." Simple, but I thought it was a good promo by Conan. What did you think?
He's got a crew. He's got the whole Lucha Libres. He should have said, "I'll send out fucking Super Carlos."
No, but he doesn't have them yet. He doesn't.
Uh,
He's not.
yeah,
that's,
yeah.
that's
I'll tell you.
racist.
I'll tell you. The best thing that ever happened to Conan was joining the NWO. Because that's when he gets his charisma. But
Yeah. He really needs that charisma. I'm sick and tired of this Conan like I'm a good guy, I'm going to work hard kind of thing. It's like it gets stale after a
I
while.
need to go. Orale mato, and Kevin Nash had next day. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna go to match number two. Now this is a almost like it's a rematch, in a sense of a match we saw the previous WCW pay per view. It is Big Bubba Rogers versus John Tenta, formerly known as Earthquake. And
Oof.
this is a Carson City Silver Dollar match. If you guys are wondering what that means, there is basically a sock filled with silver dollars, like yes, coins, and it's hanging from a pole. And the first person who get it and whack, you can use it and whack somebody, your opponent with it, knock them out. So Big Bubba, who's the heel, he comes out with Jimmy Hart, and John Tenta comes out with half his hair. So the thing is, Big Bubba cut his hair, and John Tenta decided to keep his hair at half uh, instead of shaving it all off as a constant reminder of what Bubba did to him. So he's
Yeah, that's
walking
what most.
around with, he's
He looks
walking around
so
with
fucking
half
stupid.
a skullet, you know?
He looks so fucking stupid, bro.
It looks so bad. It looks so bad. What do you call it? There's, they're wrestling. Bubba gets crotched on the turnbuckle, and then he gets tossed out by John, who decides he's not going to climb the pole to get the silver dollars. And that kind of like, then he looks at the pole though, and that kind of delay allows Bubba to return, and he starts choking out Tenta with this belt, and then you know, he gets he ties him up to the ropes. Then Bubba, he cuts more hair from on John Tenta, but then he gets low blowed by him, who then gets the scissors, and then he cuts a strap, right?
Yeah.
Bubba gets Jimmy Hart to, while this is happening, Bubba gets Jimmy Hart to climb the pole because it's pretty high up there. Like you can't just go to the top turnbuckle and get the a sock. It's like really high up there. Someone has to actually climb the pole. And Big Bubba and Tenta, they're both kind of like big fat guys. They're not going to climb this pole. I don't even think it's going to support their weight, especially after Tenta cut one of those straps. Now it's like not even sturdy. If one of those big fat guys climbed it, it's just going to fall over. So Jimmy Hart starts climbing it, and then he gets the sock, and he's like, he's got his back turned to the ring, and he's all excited. But while that's happening, John Tenta attacks Bubba from behind, and then Tenta grabs the sock from Jimmy Hart as he turns around, and then he uses the sock and he whacks Bubba on the head with the sock, which gets a really big pop from the crowd. And Tenta wins the match. Afterwards, he dumps all those coins out and he puts them on Bubba's eyes. This wasn't as bad as their first match that we saw in the last pay-per-view. I gave this a B. It was actually like a decent,
Really?
like, yeah, it's a good like final match for this feud, you know?
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what hurts this match is the fucking pole stipulation. If they just had like a regular street fight, I think it would have been a lot better in my eyes. Jimmy Hart has to climb the pole just because these two guys are too fucking fat to climb the
Yeah.
pole.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
you needed that pay, even though, yeah, that's true. That payoff of like Earthquake like outsmarting Jimmy Hart and then whacking the guy with it, like that, that actually helped the match, I think. It gave like a good ending. So
well,
I was
but
surprised by
listen,
the audience reaction to that ending. They were
at
like
least, yeah,
really
they did cheer, and John Tenta now can fix his hair, which is nice. That's
yeah.
great. 1 second. I think this is the last time we see John Tenta on pay per view. He doesn't do much after this. Big Bubba Bossman joins the NWO, then joins the corporation with his best friend is Vince McMahon. So we'll see more of him. But I think this is it for John Tenta until he becomes Olga and the audience.
So after this match, Mean Gene, he is with the three guys for the main event. We got a Sting who's painted up, with Lex Luger who's painted up, and Randy Savage who has his back to the camera. And when he turns around, you see he's painted up as well. Savage is such a showman, right? Like he was like, I got to do the big reveal of my face paint. Like, yeah, I love that. Savage speaks first, and Lex Luger does his promo, and Sting last. Pretty good, These guys are hyping up the main event, and I like that there's unity between all of them with the face paint. I like that.
Yeah, Savage is so funny this promo, bro. He's so fucking
great.
Yeah.
The more I watch these, I like. The more I'm like, man, I was too young to understand, but man, Savage was so good. He was just like really good at everything. But let's go to match number 3. It is a taped fist Lord of the Ring match. That's right. DDP versus Jim Duggan. That's right. DDP, he won this Battle Bowl or something like that. Yeah, he did one Battle Bowl and he became Lord of the Ring. So he's got the AEW Dynamite Diamond Ring. Um, and yeah, it is. Why did I write CM Punk match? Why did I write that?
He,
Oh, you know
oh,
why? Because
this.
yeah, everyone's got taped the fist, so it looks like everyone looks like CM Punk. That's why I call it the CM Punk match. DDP, he tapes in this match. DDP tapes Jim Duggan's legs around a post, and Bobby the Brain Heenan. Bobby the Brain Heenan. He makes jokes about Jim Duggan's eyes, and it's really mean what he says. I forgot what he said. I was thinking about like I think something like, oh, his legs are crossed, or then he was like, just like his eyes, or something like that. And Dusty Rhodes is just like, oh man, like he gets really down that Heenan went there about the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was really funny. Anyways, DDP, he takes advantage of this, and he rips off Jim Duggan's taped arms. Um, so he's, I guess, doing well. What really takes away from this match for me is the way DDP sells. DDP
Yeah.
does that Shawn Michaels style of selling, which is like really over the top. It's
But
very
he's not.
hokey. Yeah, I just don't like the way it looks. It looks really phony. After a long beatdown process, DDP eventually hits his finisher, the cutter, the diamond cutter, to win the match. After he wins the match, Jim Duggan, sore loser that he is, grabs new tape and he knocks out DDP, and he leaves. This is a C. This is an average match.
Yeah, I mean the right guy went over, but DDP wasn't where DDP needed to be yet. And Duggan, he's rapidly. You want to, we talk about how Jake the Snake, 41, 41. You're so old. Jim Duggan, to me, in this match, he might even be younger than we are right now. He seems fucking ancient. Like, he just seems like he seems like a relic from another time, especially when the main event, you know?
Yeah. It's crazy. Is Jim Duggan's gonna like wrestle like for WWE like way like
Yeah, I know, in 2006.
yeah, it's crazy how far he'll go. But anyways, yeah,
Studies
because
like
yeah. After this match, Gene Okerlund, he is with the Giant, Jimmy Hart and Kevin Sullivan. Uh, and Mean Gene's like, Kevin Sullivan, you're the weak link in this group, right? And he goes, I'm not the weak link. but then he starts acting like a. I don't know if you watch this carefully, but when the Giant starts cutting a promo, did you see Kevin Sullivan acting like a buffoon?
Yes, he was like barking or something.
Yeah, he's like making faces and stuff. Like, why are you doing? I don't get his character. Sometimes he acts like a dumbass. Sometimes he doesn't. Like he acts like a dumbass when he feels
He's
like
supposed
it.
to be an out of control lunatic, but then he talks like a regular human being.
Yeah, and then every once in a while he acts like Bruiser Brody. Sometimes he just like he's all over the place. It's like he forgets what his gimmick is, and then
This
he.
is this is the secret behind that gimmick. This is that he's a no talented fucking loser. I will say, actually, that he had a great match last month, and this month the match wasn't that bad. But I will say, he looks like the best shape of his life right now.
Kevin
Somebody
Sullivan.
gave him their steroids.
Yeah. Kevin Sullivan's in better shape.
Suddenly got in really good shape. It's like I don't remember him being in that good of a shape in June of '96. Suddenly, this guy looks like I'm telling you, Hogan was like, "Take some steroids, brother. Come on, dude."
Yeah. You know what's weird is the Giant was Bill Big Show. He ends the promo talking about I want to eat horse stew, and I was like, okay, dude, horse stew it is. In return, Lee Marshall, he is interviewing Chris Benoit and Arn Anderson, who cut a promo on the Giant and Kevin Sullivan. And after that, we're gonna go to our fourth match, which is a four-man dog collar match. We got Public Enemy, who come down with a table versus their arch rivals, the Nasty Boys. These guys are fighting outside, not even in the ring right away. There's a double screen. and so you gotta watch both actions that's happening at the same time. Brian Knobs, he fights Rocco. Remember, this is Bash the Beach, so the entrance setup is set up like a beach, right? So Brian Knobs and Rocco, they're fighting on the beach, and there's like blow up shark, like a blow up doll shark, and he's hitting it with the blow up doll shark, and he's selling it, which is kind of stupid because it's filled with air.
Yeah.
Um, Rocco does a somersault dive. There's like a lifeguard stand. Rocco goes up on top of that and he does a somersault dive, which is kind of cool. Then he tries to do it again. He goes up again, and Jerry Sags just knocks the whole thing down, which I thought was kind of like funny. He shouldn't have knocked it down because they could have kept doing moves off of that, but whatever. Uh, Sags hits a pile driver on the concrete entrance, the walkway, and fucking Rocco just like gets up. He no sells it. He fucking takes a pile driver, concrete, just gets right up, and then he fucking fights Sags and puts Jerry Sags through a table. This is stupid. It's like this is getting dumb. They all get back. They all finally get into the ring, and Jerry Sags is on the table, and Rocco Rob goes up on top, but then Sags just yanks him down onto the table, but the table doesn't break. So think of it. Remember, these guys are linked up, right? There's double dog collar, so both guys are all four guys are linked up to each other, two apiece. So when Rocco goes up on top, he's got the dog collar linked up. So Sags just yanks him down, and he's supposed to go through the table, but he doesn't. The table doesn't break at all. Then Sags wraps chain around his arm. He wraps the dog collar chain all around his arm, and he jumps down on Rocco Rock, but the table still doesn't break. At this point, the crowd is completely out of this match. It's just this is there's no storytelling. It's just let's just do all these crazy things. Let's not sell any of it. So it loses its effectiveness until Grunge starts getting hung on the ropes by Brian Knobs. Rocco Rock gets whipped. He gets thrown into the chain. He gets whipped into the chain, and then he gets clotheslined by Jerry Sags to win the match. Commentary team calls this a mess. They're like, this was a mess, and you know what? It was a fucking mess. Rocco Rock, he even after the match, Rocco Rock no sells, and he just gets up and he starts attacking the Nasty Boys afterwards. And then Sags finally gets put through a table, but at this point, nobody cares. Nobody cares if the table finally broke. And the best part about this whole thing was Bobby Heenan saying the table should be the third man, right? Which I got a big kick out of. C minus. This was terrible. I'm starting to think Rocco Rock was the weak. He was the weak link in the Public Enemy tag team.
I think the Public Enemy is one of the worst tag teams ever. That I don't think they're a good tag team at all. The problem with them is they make they're supposed to be hardcore wrestlers, right? They make every hardcore match a joke. They
Yeah.
they what they do is they ruin the illusion that this shit is like hard hitting, that this shit could really hurt you, that this is taking the feud to the next level, and they make a mockery of it, and it hurts the like you compare it to Benoit and Sullivan last month. These guys they just make a mockery of hardcore wrestling, and I don't like them. And you're right, they don't sell. Listen, there's a reason. People act like it was for nothing. There's a reason why on live TV the acolytes beat these guys into oblivion. It's not because they didn't shake their hands. I think that that was a hit job. That they're like, these guys never sell for anybody. Now they're in WWE. And I think the APA was like, we're going to teach you how to sell. You have no choice but to sell. You know what I'm saying?
Well, did you ever hear Bradshaw talk about what happened with
Tell
that?
me what Bradshaw said. Because watching this match, I wish the APA would walk in and just start beating these guys up for real.
Yeah. So, because in that match, they had already laid out what they were going to do with the producer, right? And the agent. And then, like, at gorilla position, right before they're going out, Public Enemy turns to APA and said, we're not going to do that. We're not going to, like, because the APA was supposed to win. They were like, we're not going to do that. And they just left and they went to do their entrance. So then Bradshaw just, like, looked at Farouk like, what was that? Like, they just said they're not going to do what we went over. And then Farouk was like, "Well, you know what we have to do now, right? Like we we're supposed to win. That was the layout, and we're gonna get it done regardless if Public Enemy wants to do it or not. So that's why they just started beating the shit out of him. And then afterwards, Public Enemy shook their hand.
Yeah, bro, because it's like these guys, like the fact that they get right back up after that finish and they're using. I did think it was funny using the inflatable shark. That's pretty funny. But like, dude, you know what? The other thing AEW should do that WCW does, they should bring back these silly sets. Like they
Yeah,
should do a beach theme pay per view in July and have a whole beach set. Like, I think that stuff looks way better than let WWE have all their stupid screens. Which, by the way, WCW had big screens in the entrance. Let WWE do the big screens. You don't need to copy WWE with a screen. Fucking build a set, man. You know?
you the way you described it, saying the Public Enemy, they make everything that's supposed to be hardcore look. They take away the integrity of it. I think that's how you said it. That's a
Mhm.
very good description of what Public Enemy is,
Yeah.
and I think that's why, yeah, they're not a good tag team. They make everything look. They make the stuff that's really like painful not look painful. It's the best way to say it, right?
Yeah, and that's it's supposed to be stuff that's not painful looks painful. That's
Yeah.
they're an embarrassment. They're not good wrestlers. Maybe they're great guys. They're not good wrestlers. They're an embarrassment. I've never seen a Public Enemy match I like. Even when we get to it, we'll talk Road Wild '98. They have a horrible match with Disco and Alex Wright. But I remember being like this. I go, why are these guys still employed? I remember thinking while watching that show in '98, why are they even still? Because that one I saw like not live, I saw it the next day. So
Hmm. So after this match, Mean Gene Okerlund, he is outside the locker room of the outsiders, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, and which is surrounded by security. And Gene Okerlund is not allowed to go in there. But so he's there really by himself, just talking, and he hypes up the severity of this invasion that's happening in WCW. And let me tell you, this was some of the good old Mean Gene Okerlund stuff.
yeah,
Like the seriousness of it. This was like the old school Mean Gene. I really liked it. What about you?
yeah. I mean, the announcers, except for Lee Marshall, the announcers do a fantastic job on this show. There, it just goes to show you like you don't need a commissioner, uh um you don't need wrestler. The announcer can do the storytelling for you. Even Mike Tenay, the way he lays out the saga of Ray and Psychosis, it's like it's like they're doing all the work for you. They do so much work to add for it. Probably in the back, fucking Hall and Nash are like playing cards with the Nasty Boys, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
but the way they create a theater of the mind for the viewer, so you think like everyone's on edge, everyone's like nervous. They have their like they create this image where like the Nasty Boys, Public Enemy go to the back, and they're like, okay, we had our match, but now we're really nervous about that third guy. Who could it be? Like you
Yeah.
know,
No,
like
no, the
dude, they're so good at dude. All four announcers. I mean, there's a reason why all four guys. Well, Tony's not in the Hall of Fame. He should be in the Hall of Fame. Tony Schiavone should be in the WWE Hall of Fame.
yeah,
Um,
the
it's
announcers really, we talk about how like when a lot of these guys are in WCW, they kind of slacked, right? For the most part, right? But this night at Bash the Beach, everybody brought it. They were like,
every
we can't fuck around tonight. We gotta fucking be for real. And they were
everyone brings it because they know the pay. Well, I don't know if they know exactly how extreme the payoff's going to be. They know they have something. They don't. Everyone. That's the thing. When you have a payoff that's going to deliver, everyone has to bring it. Everyone does. Everyone does. The presentation of this show is 9 stars. Nice. If it was in Tokyo Dome, we 10. But
So after that, we're gonna go to another exciting cruiserweight match. This time it is for the cruiserweight title. We got Disco Inferno versus the champion Dean Malenko. Dean Malenko's pissed off at Disco Inferno, and he just comes in and starts beating on him right away. He even hits
mm-hmm.
a beautiful brainbuster. It's one of the best looking brainbusters ever. But it only gets a 2 count. Disco gets no offense in from the beginning to like almost near the end, like a long time of just getting no offense in. Finally gets starts getting some punches in, but it's even that short lived. Eventually, near the end, Disco starts mounting an offense again. And the commentary team starts putting over how different he is right now. It's like, oh my God, Disco's not just fucking around like he normally does. He's being serious and he's like actually like looks like a contender. And then they actually Disco and Dean Malenko they have a good exchange, but then Dean Malenko gets the cloverleaf on Disco to win the match. I thought I haven't seen a lot of Disco Inferno matches, but I feel like this is like the best Disco Inferno match. You'll see. I gave this a B plus.
There's a good one too with Kidman, I think.
Oh, okay. But this is a
Uh,
good disco match.
this is a good match. This is when I think what they were trying to do, which I appreciate. It doesn't really work because all people remember him as a loser. Is that we know this gimmick is stupid, but we want to show you that this guy could be taken seriously, and I think that's important to do because the everything about Disco Inferno is kind of like a dead end. Like he's a guy who likes disco and he dances, and the song is annoying. Disco, baby. Like it's all very annoying and stupid. So to have him go in there and be like, "Oh, he could go if he wanted to," was good and made him stand out for the honky tonk man. I think, fucking to his credit, Bruce Pritchard has said like if we got our hands on him, he goes, I think he could have been bigger than the honky tonk man, but we never got our hands on him. And Bruce wanted to a few times, but Vince didn't see it. But I agree. I think he's a WWE guy who never went to WWE. Like I think he is a honky tonk. He's a road dog. I think he's a guy that was meant to be in WWE that never did. But he's because but this was good. This was good. It was I was surprised how good this was, especially because he doesn't have that many good matches. This guy, Disco Inferno. He's an odd guy. He's an odd guy, Disco Inferno.
He is. He's not a guy. He is. But yeah, good match by Disco. And then we're gonna go to match number 6. This guy, I don't think I've ever heard this guy ever before. It's my first time seeing him. Joe Gomez.
Oh, you're Claire's friend.
Oh, he's got amazing hair. This guy. This guy's got like movie star hair.
Dude,
Um,
this is a guy like owns restaurants that wanted to get into wrestling, so Ric Flair helped him, and like he's still like
really?
restaurants and party and eat and drink for free.
This guy was a restaurant owner?
He's like a club owner. He's got a lot of money. He's like a rich like business owner.
Oh, well, he's like a he looks like a movie star. His hair is like it's just like
Yeah, Florida.
anyway.
Ric Flair, because Ric Flair would go on and on about him on the podcast. I'm like, why is Ric Flair talking about Joe Gomez all the time? Like that guy was a loser. And then finally, Ric Flair and Conrad explained it that he owns a lot of property or he owns a lot of things, and like basically he was like a guy who's in shape, and he would like buy Ric Flair food and shit. He was like, "Oh, can I? You think I could wrestle for a little bit?" And they put him on TV.
Oh, okay.
That's why
Well,
he. I think that's why he's also Steve McMichael's first feuds. I think Steve McMichael and him would party.
oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's what's happening. Joe Gomez versus Mongo McMichael. Um, what's funny about this that started off was Joe Gomez comes out and he's got his hair fucking blowing in the fucking wind and everything. Then Mongo comes out and his fucking camera shot is for some strange reason from the point of view of a crab.
Yes, that was weird.
They don't do this for anybody else on this pay-per-view except for Mongo. The camera is like down by the sand and they've got these two crab claws and I'm like, why are they doing this where the point of view is from the crab? I don't get it. It's very weird, but it's funny. Deborah, she comes out in a gown and she comes out with a poodle, and Gomez just brings the fight. He's, beating on Mongo. He actually bloodies up Mongo's lip. And then, there's a low blow from Mongo right in front of the referee who has to act like he doesn't see it. But he's like, oh, God, can you guys do a little better job? Right. But he has to like go, oh, wait, what happened? It's like, no, the low blow was right in front of the referee. Um, Mongo, he does take a fun bump from a jawbreaker, and then Gomez fires back, but um, it makes sense that you're telling me that Gomez was not like a real wrestler and that he was like a restaurant owner because he's doing his fire up spot, right? Where the good guy is making his comeback and his chops and his drop kicks, they all look terrible. They like none of it looks good. Mongo hits a tombstone pile driver to win the match. Even though Joe Gomez really didn't have it, it made Mongo look good. I gave this a B. It's not a bad match.
Mongo, okay, by all accounts, Mongo's not a good wrestler, but somehow he's a good wrestler. Does that make any
Yeah,
sense? Like he doesn't know what he's doing, but then he just like when he hits the tombstone, like what is this, like his third, fourth match? And so this is a guy, he's a restaurateur and a football player, right? Like if you think about it,
yeah. These guys shouldn't, on paper, these guys shouldn't be having a good match.
yeah. But Mongo would have like these fits where like he just the fact that he also that he made it the fact that he made the tombstone his finisher and that they allowed him to is wild. I would have said, dude, just do a clothesline or something. Like but you're gonna do a move. You don't even know what you're doing. You're gonna do a move where you hit someone on the neck. Like look
Yeah,
what Owen
don't you
Hart
want to do a football related move like Jim Duggan, right? Yeah.
he did it really well. And I like this match. It's not good. Look, here's the thing, and this is missing in wrestling because everyone now Mongo's not good, but he's good, and we need more wrestlers like that. We need more people like that because they make things interesting. I would love to see Will Ospreay versus Steve McMichael. I think Will Ospreay would get better wrestling Steve McMichael.
Possibly. So after this match, we go back to Mean Gene Okerlund, who is in the back with Ric Flair, Liz, Woman, and once again, these women bring out the horny side of Mean Gene Okerlund. So that serious Mean Gene Okerlund is gone and replaced by horny Mean Gene Okerlund.
When a woman's looking and the things she's saying to him, I would stop worrying about the NWO too.
You know what? I had a problem with this. And you know
But,
what the problem with this promo is? It's
but
Liz. Liz is the problem.
it
She
should be
looks
put.
so fucking out of place. Ric Flair is doing his part, acting like Ric Flair, right? Woman with Ric Flair makes sense because she is like this Jezebel, right? She's gonna flirt with anybody or anything to get her way, right? And she's influencing Mean Gene Okerlund, right? The way she's touching him, flirting with him. Liz just stands there and she just like smiling. She's doing what she was doing when she was with Macho Man. She's like, which is absolutely nothing. She doesn't like just doesn't I just she doesn't belong there. It doesn't fit in.
I
Um
mean, her purpose was to turn on Macho Man and to have like this big shocking moment where Ric Flair actually gets her. And now Macho Man's involved in this other thing, and she doesn't fit. She just doesn't
yeah,
fit.
doesn't fit.
It doesn't make any sense. Like I don't know the whole like woman makes sense. She doesn't make any sense. And to their credit though, she once the NWO gets going, she vanishes from the Four Horsemen. Liz. So it's gonna end soon.
Okay. Well, yeah. So, Ric Flair wants all the belts. What's funny about this is woman wants Mean Gene Okerlund, but Mean Gene Okerlund turns her down. I was like,
By the way, this is a running gag on Nitro.
it's very funny. I think that's very funny. But let's go to match number 7. The match for Ric Flair's match. It's for the U.S. title. Conan is U.S. champion. He comes out. He's got this great AAA coat on, jacket on, and he's gonna be facing Ric Flair, who comes out with his two hoes. They shake hands and some sportsmanship. It's a short exchange, and then all of a sudden Conan slaps Ric Flair, who bumps. And Ric Flair just starts selling for Conan early on, making him look good. Conan even does an apron dive, and he knocks down Ric Flair, Liz, everybody. Then Woman, there's a part where Conan goes on the top rope. Woman kind of like shakes the ropes, and Conan falls down. And then she kicks him in the balls, which gets a big cheer from the crowd. And Conan sells the ball kick really well. Like he's like, oh, he's like, this is one of the best sells of a ball kick I've seen. He's like, oh, it was good. Bobby the Brain Heenan's like, what happened? My monitor went out. I didn't see anything. I was like, yes, that's great. So Heenan's playing the heel commentator. It's just great. Conan gets a figure 4 on though, and However, at this point, it's where the match starts getting bad because Conan, he is he doesn't have uh he doesn't have attrition. So he gets tired. You'll see this in a lot of his matches. He gets tired really fast, right? And he starts really slowing down. It's the point where it just looks bad. And he's just really slow, lethargic. Liz is distracting the referee as woman hits Conan with the heel in a spot that's like really poorly timed. And it looks sloppy. Ric Flair puts his feet on the ropes to win the match. Um, the ending really ruined this match. It just looked bad. I gave it a C plus. It's like, it is what it is.
The problem with this match is the kind of problem with not the Brittany Brave, the Brit, what's her name, the fucking one, and Britt Baker. So the Britt Baker match is she cheats, and then she like wins kind of fair and square. When Woman kicked him in the balls, I think that should have been the finish. The fact that it keeps going, and Conan, you can tell after that ball kick, the crowd likes Flair. They don't like Conan, and they're not getting behind Conan. And then it just makes him look weak. It just makes him like these three people are playing with him, like like he's nothing. And I just would have had it in there. It went a little bit too long. I think the whole idea of this match is to get Ric Flair a little bit more shine because he has to get beaten up by Hogan in a month. So you have to make him look like he might have a chance against Hogan before Hogan beats the shit out of him. Yeah, it could have been good. It wasn't. Conan just Conan, as big of a star that he is at the time, he's missing something, and it's called talent.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's I like Conan, but yeah, he just wasn't this
I
amazing.
like him now. I mean, listen, his podcast, he says some hard truths that nobody wants to say because I don't think he gives a shit anymore.
No, I think people like to hear it. That's why his podcast is popular. He does say a lot of truth, and I think
AEW wrestlers don't like, but like he has some hard truths. But here's some hard. He needed the NWO to take it to the next level. To step up his.
That's a hard truth, by the way. All right. So after this, Mean Gene, he's in the restricted area again, which is outside the outsiders' dressing room, and he's eavesdropping, and he's like, "Wait, you know what? I can hear the third man's voice. The third man is here, and I can hear his voice. Now it's behind the closed door, so it's a little bit muffled, but it sounds familiar. The voice sounds familiar. Mean Gene alludes to that, but he can't quite place it. And Bobby the Brain Heenan goes, "Hey, why don't you just bribe one of the guards to tell you who it is?" Which is genius. It was genius, actually. But Mean Gene Okerlund has to go like, "No, I have more class than that. I can't do that." But I was like, "Yeah, that would solve all this. Just bribe one of the guards, you know." Though, too bad. Unfortunately, we're not. Thank God they actually don't do that because that ruins the surprise. Let's go to match number 8. It is Chris Benoit and Arn Anderson representing the Horsemen. They're going to be fighting Kevin Sullivan, the Taskmaster, and a Giant, but they get attacked by Kevin Sullivan and a Giant from behind. And Mongo's out there, though. He comes out. Mongo's also one of the Horsemen, and he hits Giant with this Money in the Bank briefcase or something. So,
Casey got the money last month. Remember at the.
Yeah, but he's still carrying it around. What, did he not take the money out of it? Like, it's stupid.
Well, he's got to protect the money. He doesn't trust banks.
He's carrying around. So Mongo, to turn on his friend Kevin Green, he got a briefcase filled with money, and a month later, he's still just carrying around the briefcase.
Yeah, bro. He only pays in cash. Come on, he's a high Joe Gomez restaurants.
All right, so because Mongo hit him with the briefcase, Giant chases the Mongo all the way to the back, and Kevin Sullivan left.
Wait, hold on. This pay-per-view's in Florida, right?
Yeah.
So that's where Joe Gomez owns the restaurants. You think they booked him as a bringer wrestler? They're like, you think you can get like 20 of your friends to come, bro? We give you a pay-per-view match?
Yeah, I bet you that's possible. Yeah, but you know what? I'll be honest with you. I don't think they needed it here because this angle is hot, dude. Look how many pay-per-view buys they got.
Dude, probably like fucking comp their Bischoff's meals at old restaurants. They're like, oh yeah, you can wrestle pay per view. Yeah, it's gonna be a really good one. Let me tell you something. This was the best pay per view to be on because this is the one people rewatch.
Oh
No,
yeah,
no one's
absolutely.
rewatched fucking Starcade '92.
Yeah. So, where was I? Okay, so Kevin Sullivan's getting double teamed by both Benoit and Arn Anderson. And finally, the Giant comes back. He gets involved, and then Benoit. There's this cool spot where Benoit does a dive on the Giant, who just catches him and just like throws him to Arn Anderson, which made him look very impressive. That was a cool spot.
That was
Um,
cool.
yeah, Arn Anderson though he does this terrible catapult spot. This looks bad. Anyway, the Giant tags in. Everybody is fighting on the outside. Benoit and Kevin Sullivan they fight by the broadcast area, while Arn Anderson and Giant are in the ring, and the Giant choke slams Arn Anderson to win the match. Afterwards, Benoit he jumps off the broadcast people. By the way, they're not ringside like you see now. They were in this other area, like near the fan, near the entrance, and it's kind of like an elevated area, and that's where Kevin Sullivan and Chris Benoit were fighting. And Chris Benoit jumps off of that after the match, and he lands on Kevin Sullivan, who's trying to get back to the ring, and they land in the sand, which was a cool spot. And then Benoit picks up a chair and he just fucking brains Kevin Sullivan with it on the head. It looked this is back when we didn't know that much about chair shots to the head, right? And then Benoit takes Kevin Sullivan and they fight back to the ring. Now this is where it gets really interesting. So Benoit brings the match is over. Giant won, and Giant wins, and then Giant just left. He goes, "I won. I won the match. I'm leaving." Benoit brings Kevin Sullivan back to the ring. He does a top rope back suplex, and he starts beating on Kevin Sullivan. When woman, she comes out and she starts begging Chris Benoit to stop beating up Kevin Sullivan. And everyone's like, why is she here? Why is she asking Benoit to stop beating up Kevin Sullivan? The Giant finally realizes he left his tag team partner there. So he returns. And when the Giant returns, Chris Benoit leaves the ring with woman. He grabs her by the hand and they leave. And Dusty Rhodes on camera goes, why was she even out here to begin with? I don't get it. Why is she out here? Kevin Sullivan carries a knocked out Giant carries a knocked out Kevin Sullivan to the back. I gave this a B minus. The match is all right. It's not terrible. The ending angle is very intriguing. What did you think?
Yeah, I agree. You know, the problem is, I hate to say it because he's such a good wrestler. The problem is on Anderson. I wish Benoit because Giant is such a formidable opponent and he's beating everybody. It looks ridiculous for a Giant to sell for Arn or Benoit at this point, you know?
Yeah.
And so the match struggles because I mean, it's the equivalent of like Brock Lesnar selling for Xavier Woods. I mean, that's just the way it is. It's like, you know, it takes away. So it kind of is. But yeah, you're right. The angle is very good. The really cool thing about all this, though, and the cool thing is that in a few weeks, they realize they have to work together against the NWO, the Dungeon of Doom, and the Four Horsemen. You know, so like these
Mm.
guys have really personal conflict, and then like the NWO almost overrides them, and it's really fun to watch on Nitro. I saw they're having like this match, the two factions, right? And the NWO runs out, starts beating the shit out of both of them, and they realize they have to unite. And even united, they can't overcome the NWO. But like, it's really cool. Like, it's like this is supposed to be their blow off match, and they're like, "Fuck, we got to work together." The NWO is fucking insane. You know, it's really fun.
That's a good storyline if you think about it, you know?
Oh, dude, that's such a. It's so good. You know what I was thinking, and I think a lot of people would be like, "No," but I think it would work. I think John Cena should reform the NWO. I think he should be like Bray Wyatt was right about me, and he comes and he reforms the NWO.
Yeah, but who would you put in there?
The New Day, Braun Breaker. That's my rough draft. Who would you put in?
Because the NWO is supposed to be like an outsider group. I don't know. To me, that doesn't work.
Fucking John. Well, now they're the corporate group. They're
You
it's
know
like
who I would do? Not John Cena, but I would do CM Punk with Sean Spears and fucking Ricky Starks and Penta, and then I would just say call him the NWO, and and be like, who else? Lexus King, all those
yeah.
fucking AEW guys.
My thing is, the only reason I say John Cena should be NWO because the Bray Wyatt match basically predicted that he would turn heel. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. It's listen. He'd look cooler in the NWO shirt than like his. If he's gonna be heel, the NWO shirt would be cool to come out to, and that'd be a
Yeah,
really
you gotta stop wearing those colors, 100%.
and that'd be a really good alternate theme for him instead of like 'cause people want him to go back to. I think him walking out to just the NWO music at WrestleMania. I think would be real, especially if he wins the belt. Then you can be like you could always do an angle where it looks like Rock and Cena are going to attack Hogan, and Cody runs out, and it's a trap, and Hogan's like, I bestow upon you the NWO. You know,
Hmm, interesting.
I,
Okay.
I Cena coming out with the NWO music would be really that would be cool. That'd be I just because people like he should come out to like basic thugonomics. I don't think he should have anything that evokes a pop, but I also don't trust the new musician Steph Rebel to create a good theme for him. So he has a theme, the NWO theme. There you go.
Speaking of NWO, we
Mm-hmm.
got to get to the main event of this. Now,
Yeah.
we get a recap of the hostile takeover that's been
Mm-hmm.
happening in WCW since May 27th. The Bash at the Beach is July 7th. So if you're keeping score at home, doing the math, this build up to this pay-per-view match, this main event, is about 6 weeks. This is probably the best 6 week build of all time. Do you think they should have went even longer, built it longer, or do you think this was good? This is like 6 weeks to get to this match.
No, because it would look stupid if for like 3 months the entire company's afraid of two guys. You
Yeah.
needed
Okay.
it was already looking pretty ridiculous. How come you can't take out these two guys? Like fucking Undertaker took them out. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, you're right. So a week. This is basically a month and a half of building
it's
this, right?
perfect build up because you keep thinking because the whole build is they have more they're not showing you. And
Yes.
so this was the right time to show it.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna get to our ninth and final match. This is a six-man tag, 3 against 3. The two outsiders come out, um, and Gene Oakland comes out. And he's just like, "Hey guys, who's the third guy? Who's the third guy?" And they're like, "You know what?" He's like, they were like, "Gene, all we can tell you is the third guy. He's here. That's all we're gonna tell you."
But wait, by the way, did you notice? Because I noticed it. This is like my fifth time watching this match. Did you notice the announcers don't call them by names? Bobby Heenan does. Yeah, they
They don't.
don't.
They still don't have names. They're gonna be given names during the match.
Yeah, yeah, but only Bobby Heenan calls them by the names. And when they get to the ring, they do their Razor Ramon and Diesel taunts.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yes.
like they are still so playing at the WWF angle. By the way, they're so playing it up that they're really from the WWF. Still,
Yeah.
still.
So out comes their opponents: Lex Luger, Sting, and Randy Savage. Scott Hall, who's still yet to be named, he's in there first with Lex Luger. They start getting in a shoving match, and they're
Mhm.
pointing at each other to confrontation. They're gonna start the match. Lex Luger. There's a point though early on in the match where Lex Luger he's kind of held over the top turnbuckle by Kevin Nash, and Sting does a stinger splash to try to get Kevin Nash, but he ends up squashing Lex Luger in that corner, and he knocks Lex Luger out, and Lex Luger rolls out to the floor, and they had to bring out a gurney to carry Lex Luger to the back. And this happens so early on that it does make you think.
It's getting hit.
Yeah.
So Lex got hit, and it throws stuff in disarray, right?
Yeah, so Lex Luger gets squashed in the Stinger Splash, and he rolls out to the ring. Gurney has to come and take him back, and this is a good moment because it makes the viewers and the fans in the arena think, did Sting do that on purpose? Did Sting squash Lex Luger on purpose in the Stinger Splash because he's gonna turn on WCW,
But
or
also, but also, it's like is Luger over exaggerating the selling so he
exactly,
can third man?
yeah, is Lex Luger lying and he's gonna come back out later as a third man? Fucking great, dude. Right? Because you still don't know, right? It's like there's two options. You're like, oh man, it could be either one of those. It's great. Oh, beautiful. So, they have to stop the match to get this gurney out and everything. And so at the reset, Tony Schiavone finally gives them the names. But it's not Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. It's just Nash and Hall, which I like. They should have just kept it like that. They should not have given them first names, in my opinion. Ever.
Yeah.
Fucking
Well, I mean, like they for a long time they don't, and then like people get so after 2 years of them being on TV, people just start calling them by their first name because those are their like legit first. Not like they made up their first names.
yeah. So, Hall, Hall starts fighting and he slaps Sting, who gets all mad and he fires up. Savage tags in, he faces off against Nash, and Dusty, there's this point where Savage tags in and he starts going up against Nash, and Dusty starts going yelling, "Who be bad now? Who be bad now?" Like
Oh, that's
Dusty
really
was
funny.
he was so into this match. It was like he was a fan. He wasn't even a
Mhm.
commentator. He was just a fan at this point. Commentary team is so fucking fired up in this match. This is the part where you really see it. And you mentioned this early on in our podcast about how Bobby Heenan's a heel commentator. Throughout this whole show, he's shitting on the good guys and everything. This is the match where all three commentators are on the same side. They're all team WCW, even Bobby Heenan. And it's fantastic. They're all super into it. The commentary team's great. Nash is back in this match. He drops an elbow, but Randy Savage moves out of the way. He tries to move out of the way, and Nash ends up landing right on top of Randy Savage's head. It looked bad. That could have been real bad. That's like one of the only real fuck up spots in this match. Um,
Mhm.
but they keep going. Sting takes a beating as Dusty says something. Sting's getting a beating, and Dusty goes, "Something is a myth." And he acknowledges, "I don't think that's a real word, but I'm saying it anyway." I was like, yes, that's so good. Savage hot tags back in, and he goes nuts till Nash low blows him. And then Hulk Hogan comes out. No music, just comes out. And he
Mhm.
comes out to cheers. Because people, when they see Hulk Hogan, they're like, yes, Hulk Hogan's here. Because remember, now it's 2-on-2. It's a tag team match, right? Lex is out. But as he's coming out, Bobby the Brain Heenan alludes, yeah, but whose side is he on? Whose side is Hulk Hogan on? And Dusty Rhodes, like, he thinks this is preposterous. He's like, what are you talking about? Are you crazy? He's just like, that's the stupidest thing you've ever said. And then as Dusty's like saying that, Hogan drops the leg on Randy Savage. The leg drop,
Mhm.
Randy Savage. People are shocked. Um, the commentary team is disgusted. They're disgusted, just like, oh, what the fuck. Hulk Hogan then grabs the referee, just throws him out the ring. He pins Randy Savage, and the NWO. They haven't been named yet, but they do the mock. They start mocking the crowd, and they're giving him the win. And then the trash starts raining in one at a
Dude,
time.
so what I noticed this time watching it is when he hits the leg drop, there's silence. And for a second, even though I've seen this a million times, I'm like, wait, does nobody care that he did this? And then the boos come. And they
Yeah,
come and they come and they come and the trash starts filling the ring. It's one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life. Like, dude, like because he was people were like, "Fuck Hulk Hogan, I'm sick of him." Back then, he's rooting the show, and then when he actually he's actually a piece of shit. He's holding everyone back, and when he actually go, "Okay, I'm a piece of shit." people like what? No, no, you're not supposed to. And they people are so hurt by what he did, and dude, oh man, it was so good. The way they started booing, it was like real emotion, bro.
Yeah. And there's no referee and they pinned Savage. And I like how Tony Schiavone on commentary is like, we're not even gonna acknowledge that win. like
Yeah.
he has to make a point. We're not acknowledging that. That's not real. Like he's annoyed. Um so Mean Gene afterwards has to get in the ring. And as he's getting in, as soon as he's getting in, he almost gets nailed with a fucking can of like with a drink. And he's going like, Hogan, what are you thinking? And then Hogan proceeds to give the iconic great heel promo, where he'll name the group NWO, New World Order. This promo is fantastic. Um,
One of the best promos of all time. One of it is the
yeah,
way. You know what I was thinking is they're making you wait 2 weeks now for Cena to talk. Cena should have just cut a promo that night because
that night.
Hogan answers all your questions right away. But because he answers all your questions, you now have new ones, and it's just like, oh, he's committing to being the biggest heel in the world, and it's an incredible promo because it ties in what how everyone felt at him at the time. It ties in the real world. It ties in the WWF. It ties in WCW, and it sets everyone on a new course. I loved it. I love this promo.
And you know what? It made you want more.
Yeah.
So you're right. I agree with you. Cena should have cut a promo that night. This is stupid, making you wait for 2 weeks. Like it's dumb. Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's dumb. It actually makes you turns you off more. Isn't it
Hmm.
crazy how 1995 is one of the worst years in wrestling of all time? And the very following year, not even a full year, like a few months later, we get two iconic promos back to back.
Well,
It's
because the thing about it is with Hogan is he finally admitted he was wrong. He finally admitted my way's not working. I need to change things up. And the same thing with Bischoff. They admit in their head we're doing things not right and we're not going to beat WWF this way. And they correct things and they make it better. And I'm not just talking like, the NWO angle. I'm talking like booking more lucha libres and booking more New Japan style matches. Like it's like they acknowledge that the show stunk and they're fixing it. And dude, when he says, as far as I'm concerned, this trash represents all the fans, the way the boos get even louder is fucking crazy. Crazy.
yeah. By the way, the other iconic promo I was talking about was Stone
Austin.
Cold. Yeah, Austin's. So after that promo by Hogan, the show's about to end, but not before Tony Schiavone tells Hulk Hogan, you could go straight to hell.
You
Which
go to hell, straight to hell. Thank you.
yeah,
And he throws the
great.
head down. He
So
throws the
I give this match an A plus. This is an A plus match and angle afterwards. A plus.
It delivers on everything. It delivers on like whatever you had hoping for when you tune in this show. It delivers on everything, and
Yes.
it's such a great promo, bro. And it's like, man, I know Hogan's such a loser now, but it's like, bro, this guy was pro wrestling. This guy just got it. This guy
Uh-huh.
just got it every single step of the way. And you know what's crazy? It's been 30 years. It's still weird to me to see him next to Razor Ramon and Diesel. Like it's still like feels like it because that's the other thing that makes this work. It's not just that he's heel, but he's aligned with two WWE guys. You never like they almost like we're a different world than him. You know what I mean? In WWE. And now they're all a team. Razor Ramon, Hulk Hogan, and Diesel are a team. Like you never would have thought
Here's
that
the
was
thing
going
with
to happen.
this. Here's the thing with that too. You're right. It's so weird because they're from different eras of WWE, but at the
Yeah.
same time, it also works because
Yes, because it's like the biggest WWE guys are now here, and they're bad guys, and they
yeah,
want to destroy Sting and Flair. It really works.
when Hogan says, "Who knows that place better than me?" I was like, "Yeah, who does?" He was like, I made those people lots of money. And
Mhm.
it was like, it's yeah, you're right. It's just like I don't know how you could recreate something like that now. I don't think you can. You just can't.
I
You just
mean, I think
can't.
the only way you could is like if John Cena never turned heel and went to AEW like in 2021, you might have, but people would have like been expecting it. They would have been like, "Oh, he's going to
Yeah,
turn heel."
yeah. People will be expecting it. You're right. It's
I don't know. Yeah. Also, like fans now are very ironic. Like the thing about it is when Cena turned, people are cheering because they're like, "Yeah, he's finally heel. Yeah, he's finally changing his character." Like people are too like they're too like on the internet. They're too like the problem with wrestling fans is they're too smart now for their own good. They don't just like fall into it anymore. You know,
yeah.
they don't like. You know who I think? I think that the best way to. You know who I think the best way to recreate this is not with a heel turn. You know who I think is gonna get a reaction like this, but in the opposite direction when they pull the trigger is Dominic turning face.
Um. Yeah. I
I
don't
think
know. I don't.
I think
It's
if you
not
do it
gonna
in a
be
way where he reunites with Rey Mysterio, like he saves his dad, and like it's Rey Mysterio's like retirement match or whatever. But I think if Dominic does a hard like, I think the pop in the other direction will be massive. I think he's the only one right now, but but like you have to like save it for WrestleMania. Like he has like maybe next year or something.
possibly. Anyways, this was a fantastic pay per view. This is one of those pay per views that I'm glad I'm taking this time to rewatch these old shows. If you are a wrestling fan, you need to go out of your way and watch this entire pay per view. That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, you know, shows like this are why. Hold on, my aunt's calling me. I don't want to. Shows like this are why WCW, it's why I miss WCW. There's so many little things that they do that Tony, when AEW, I don't mean to shit on AEW constantly, but I'm going to. When AEW started, there were so many little things that just felt like WWF light. And so many things that just feel like it's there to appease Tony Khan and Dave Meltzer. And it's part of the little things that AEW, they would never do a match like Hacksaw Jim Duggan. They would never they would never just try things. They would never just put things out there and see what happens. And it's WCW, like the older I get and the more time passes from WCW, I realize what a special place that was. And how like wrestling has never been the same since it went out of business. And I've said this again, we've shit on it. Like there's been a lot of bad shows, but man, when they got it, they really got it. And I had more fun rewatching this than I did watching any current. I mean, I even think I like this more than last year's WrestleMania. It's such a good show, and it's so different. Wrestling is never going to be like this again. Even the bad, like they're never going to take the swings that WCW took, man. And I really am enjoying. I'm so like I'm going to enjoy this era until we get to 1998 and they fuck it up again. You know?
Hey, that's 2 years. That's a long time.
Yeah, so a lot of these shows I haven't seen, so I'm really excited. Like from Fall Brawl 96 to Uncensored 98, I never saw any of those shows. I think I saw Great American Bash 97, so I'm excited to watch all of them. So
Yeah.
we're in for a good run. All right. But speaking who's not having a good run, it's Vincent Kennedy McMahon in 1996 because next week we've got Camp Cornette versus Team Shawn Michaels. That's Sid, Ahmed, and HBK at In Your House International Incident. In 2 weeks, we have Hog Wild 96, another awesome show, Andrew Libro, with the main event of Hollywood Hogan versus the Giant. Then in 3 weeks, we have SummerSlam 96 with a main event of Vader versus Shawn Michaels. And then in 4 weeks, it's Fall Brawl 96 with the War Games match of NWO versus Team WCW, but also the pay per view debut of Chris Jericho, who we're never going to get rid of. We will never get rid of this fucking guy.
No.
What are you looking forward to?
No. He's never going away after he
He's never
debuts.
going away. He's never going away. What are you looking forward to the next 4 weeks?
I'm actually looking forward to that pay per view now. Now that you told me that, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, that one sounds good.
That's a good War
That one
Games match.
actually sounds like a War Games match that I'm actually interested.
So
For the first time.
the teams are Arn Anderson, Ric Flair, Luger, and Sting, that's a great team because it's like the Horsemen and their
That's
enemies.
like it's like prime WCW.
Yeah. Versus the Outsiders, Hogan, and a mysterious fourth member. And I'm not gonna tell you who the member is because that's part of the storyline. If you didn't see it, I want to see what you think as it plays out. So
Okay.
all right, so that's it, guys. Subscribe to the podcast, Goose's Wrestling Pod. We're going to be back more on a regular schedule. I'm a little bit more situated here in California. And next week, uh, it's Vader time, sadly, and we'll see. We'll see you then for an international incident.